Welcome to episode 2 of our series on diabetes and its impact on health. In our last episode, we covered the basics, what diabetes is, and how it can affect your body and daily life. In this episode, we're going deeper, exploring the historical background of diabetes and how our understanding of this condition has evolved over time. We'll also highlight key lifestyle choices that play a crucial role in managing and preventing diabetes. Most importantly, we'll focus on the need for intentional decision-making when it comes to your health, because the choices you make today can shape your future. Let's dive in and empower you with the knowledge to take control of your well-being.
Alzheimer's today is called type 3 diabetes. All right? Because what does sugar do in excess to your brain? It makes you foggy. And it leads to the higher incidence we have today of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So even the higher incidence of cancer we see today, there's a higher incidence of cancer in all type 2 diabetic patients. Is it because of lifestyle? Yeah. And it's because of the high consumption of refined carbohydrates. Not all carbs are equal. Ideally, in an ideal situation, we should be eating the way that God made the food.
Natural from the earth.
Natural from the earth, locally produced, nothing processed, ideally speaking, and in season. But here's the problem. We eat bananas as if the banana trees are growing wild here in George. We eat apples as if the apples are in season all time. Have an apple a day and it keeps the doctor away. Nothing wrong with fruit, okay? In moderation, but we overconsume it. The ideal lifestyle related to food needs to be individualized, and especially in diabetics. Diabetics that use insulin, even for type 1s, the less carbohydrates they eat that are high glycemic index carbohydrates that spike their sugar. Let's say, for instance, like porridge, wheat bix, instant oats, for instance, has got a very high GI, got a lot of sugar, and it will spike their blood sugar. Now they need to use more insulin to cover that spike. But 9 out of 10 times, the insulin doesn't get on top of the spike. So they get it down after 2 hours, but it doesn't get on top of it. That is why a very low carb, so very low carbohydrate lifestyle is the best. That means you eat your carb-free veg and you eat your meat. You can leave the fat. The fat is not killing people. It's sugar that kills people. And if you have that concept of what is a carb-free veg, you see, the thing is, when we say vegetables, the first thing we think about is potatoes. All right, because we want potatoes with everything, okay? But again, in moderation, it is fine, but it is having more of the carb-free veg. Carb-free veg would be your spinach, broccoli, blanquil, your Brussels sprouts. That would be your peppers. It will be your mushrooms. It will be, part of that is avocado, your tomatoes, your cucumbers. Those things should be more bulky in your plate with your meat. And the starch should be limited to maybe one starch once a day. It's also unfortunate that eggs have been alienated, and people argumentatively would say that, oh, eggs causes heart disease and cholesterol. But that is because we do not understand cholesterol, nor do we understand cardiovascular disease. But we would have a braai, all right? But we would drink Coke. That's fine. That's okay. That's not a problem. Or Coke Light. That's even better.
Coke no sugar.
Coke no sugar. Oh, that's also fine. So a clinical study was released recently, and it's very interesting. They looked at 6 months weight in people that consumed Coke. They gained 6 kgs, and an average water. They gave those people another group water, and they actually lose like they lost 2 kgs, which was okay. They gave another group milk to drink, and funny enough, the milk group was quite neutral. But these were non-diabetics. And then they gave another group Coke Light, and guess what? They gained 2 kgs. People think that substituting something with something else because of a label is justification. That doesn't make sense. Even in Coke Light, there is sugar. But it's not just the sugar that is in there. It is also the other products that are in there that the body is reacting to. It changes one's gut flora. It changes how the gut flora then works. That makes one more insulin resistant. And unfortunately, we keep being stuck in consumerism because that is where the problem lies. We need to be consuming, and that consuming is the thing that makes us sick. Instead of actually going individualizing it, for instance, pricking your finger, checking your blood sugar, so that means before the meal, and 2 hours after you eat that specific meal, and make a good decision and say, oh, can I eat, let's say, oats? How is this oats affecting me as a diabetic? Test before and see, oh, my sugar is beautiful. Between 4 and 6 when I wake up, it's a good reading. But above that, it means you're not controlled. Then 2 hours after the meal, check that it stays under 8. If it's not under 8, that meal is a problem, especially for a type 2. Now you have a choice, isn't it?
Exactly.
You can either say, listen, let me try something else, or you will sow what you will reap what you sow. Am I right? You will keep reaping what you are eating then. Let's put it that way. You will have high blood sugars with complications because you will not dodge complications if you're a diabetic with high blood glucose. In type 1s, some of the symptoms are quite overlapping. So we call it polyuria, which is frequent urination, polydipsia, which is very thirsty, polyphagia, they are continuously hungry. Then there will be weight loss, and sometimes a very sudden weight loss in the children. But unfortunately, the children become very sick. Most of them will land up in an ER and ICU because they will become lethargic. They will go in what we call ketosis, diabetic ketoacidosis. So because of the fact that there's not enough insulin to take the glucose, all the energy that you are consuming and eating, and putting it into the cells, because that's the work that insulin does. Insulin is a hormone that your body produces, all right, to take the food that you are eating, that energy, and it puts it inside the muscle cells. Now there's no insulin. So there's no keys to literally put that glucose into the cells. All right, now what is happening? All the food that they are eating, all right, they are urinating out that energy into the toilet. Now, where are you getting energy from? So the
cells are now left.
They are left hungry, so they are screaming to the brain, feed us, feed us. The excessive urination just causes more water to go out, so they become dehydrated. They want to keep drinking, but the problem is they don't want to drink water. They don't drink water, they start drinking Coke. So there's even a worse cycle. And then the body starts eating itself up, in inverted commas, because it needs to get energy from somewhere. So it's using protein, it's using a little bit of fat to try and move that, and that protein and that fat that it tries to use it can't work, it doesn't work. And they go into this ketosis. So there will be ketones in the urine, they get this keto breath, which is a very, very pungenty smell. And like I say, they can even go into a coma because of their blood glucose that will be like in their 30s and 40s, extremely high. And then it comes down with what? Fluids and insulin. And that's the management that they need. Type 2s are a little bit different. So a lot of type 2s don't even know they have diabetes, and they might be just checked randomly with a blood sugar test, like for insurance. Sometimes they also have some of the symptoms, of being excessively tired, thirsty, maybe a little bit of feeling strange after a meal, having a big meal and then feeling very sleepy after that meal. And sugar gets checked. Some of them will present actually with complications, almost like the blurred vision will be one of the symptoms that they might present with as well. Burning feet they might present with. We see a lot of males being diagnosed with diabetes when they have their first heart attack. All right, so they'll have their heart attack, land up in Mossel Bay at the heart unit, and then they told, oh, listen, you've got diabetes, your sugar is high. Oh no, but I never knew I've got diabetes. But it is a silent killer, and especially in those with metabolic disease, because the body has a very funny way of adapting to bad environments. You know, if you think about it, obesity is one of them. Our forefathers and our ancestors had lack of. So they only hunted and could eat for short periods in season. All right? So they would hunt, they would eat, feast, and then need to go and repeat. So maybe for 2-3 days, they didn't have anything to eat. We today believe we should eat 6 times a day, some say. Really? Eat 6 times a day while you do actually zero. No expenditure of that energy. Don't even chase the chicken anymore. Don't even bake our own bread anymore. We just go there to Pick n Pay, just buy the bread and it's already sliced. Some people don't even know what a bread knife is used for. You know? They don't even cut their own bread. That's how convenient we have become. And we still consume. We still wonder, but why? All right. And that is where the discrepancy lies, and that is where the awareness needs to be made, is that people need to realize that genetically, in our genes of survival, all right, famine has been there longer imprinted than excess. It's just one of those things. We are made to fast. We are made to go without food for periods of time. Did you know that the body actually heals itself? It's called autophagy in periods of 48-hour fasts. You don't eat.
That's why they call it intermittent.
Like intermittent fasting, it works, it helps. It doesn't work for everybody. And I would not recommend intermittent fasting for my type 1 diabetics all the time because they are insulin dependent and it's children. But for some type 2s that are on oral medication, if they want to lose weight, and that's the most important thing, if they really want to reverse their diabetes, they need to lose that fatty pancreas and the fatty liver. That needs to disappear, because that is the biggest hindrance for the internal insulin production. That's where that insulin resistance comes in. And to do that, you need to cut the things which are the precipitator. You need to stop doing what is driving that fatty pancreas. You know, it is like today, unfortunately, people want best of both worlds. They want to enjoy the McDonald's and will be drinking a pill to enjoy their McDonald's. That is the problem we sit with. We don't want to sacrifice. And now, just think how sad it's become that I need to convince people to do what is actually normal. Now it's become abnormal. Because what's become normal?
Yeah.
It's become normal to eat Rice Krispies.
Cookie.
Or a cookie. It's become normal to drink 2 or 4 teaspoons of sugar in your coffee. That's become normal. I mean, seriously, sugar was a trade. At some point, actually, sugar was more the same worth as gold because it was so scarce worldwide. It was a trade. Now today, sugar is like, you know, it's just one of those things. If you go into someone's fridge, if you open the fridge, what is the thing that will be there except for milk? Normally Coke. That's like normal. Now, if you ask someone what do they drink in general, except for alcohol, that's a whole nother story. Okay. If you ask them, they would say, no, but you can't just drink water. I mean, our forefathers just drank water. That was good enough for them. I mean, for how many thousands of years? For us, it's not good anymore. How does that work? Okay. So what are we satisfying if you really think about it? A dopamine kick in the brain. That is why sugar is compared to cocaine. It's got the same addictive properties. That's why people can watch a movie and you'll eat one of those big buckets of popcorn. I mean, the cool drink you take in, it's not a tiny little one. It's like this big, slushy. How much exercise do you need to do to justify that? I mean, that would have been a meal for someone for a whole week. Back in the day. A whole week's worth of calories we will consume in one go. And we say that's normal. So, lifestyle.
That brings us to the end of episode 2 of our diabetes series. Today, we explored the deeper connections between diabetes and other major health conditions, shedding light on how prevention and care go hand in hand. We also discussed practical lifestyle changes, those small but powerful steps that can make a real difference in your journey towards better health. Next time, in episode 3, we'll conclude our series with a focused discussion on managing diabetes effectively. We'll bring together everything we've covered so far, offering practical strategies for prevention, tips for daily management, and a roadmap to long health. Don't miss it as we wrap up this vital 3-part series, empowering you to take charge of your health and make informed decisions. Until then, stay proactive, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.